that women convert to Islam. What is your question, sir? I don't understand your question.
In UK.
What's the number?
Oh, okay. Suppose now I was able to provide you the statistics. If that was true, what would be your explanation?
Yes.
No, that's amazing.
No, amazing isn't good enough. Because if
I'll give you a statistic.
There you go.
I'll give you a statistic. So every single year, 100,000 people accept Islam through our organization alone, which is called IRA. Around the world. Latin America, Africa, Europe, everywhere. In our conversions, over 60% are women. So the question is, why? If what he said, the question, you didn't hear before he came. He said, if Islam is oppressive, why are they converting? That's the paradox that the liberals have.
Is Iran oppressive to women?
That doesn't answer the question that we posed.
It's a simple question. Can you answer it? Is Iran oppressive to women? Let me ask you this.
There are many countries which do not implement the law of God. They will implement the law of man and oppress women.
Yes or a no, please?
I'll answer.
I'm answering. If Iran did not implement the law of Islam and they oppress women but not allowing them to educate themselves, not allowing them to develop themselves as Muslims, if you find something like this, then you and I would agree this is not the teaching of Islam, and that is what the problem is.
So the answer would
But
be yes,
in reality,
and your get out is that you're saying they're not Muslims. That's your...
Let me answer the question in a different way. Let me answer the question in a different way. Marxists oppressed women in Central Asia by removing their hijabs. So you cannot say, therefore Marxism itself overall oppresses women. That may or may not be true, but the actions of individuals does not make a difference. But anyway, let's get down to what I said to you earlier.
so let me ask this Shaykh. As we realize, Islam has been portrayed.
Brother, I won't go.
Brother.
Let's do it.
Brother.
All right.
Listen, Mansur.
So now the Shaykh, I'm asking the Shaykh.
Yeah.
If Islam is portrayed by the media, such oppressing of women, degrading of women, having no rights, women having no rights. The question I was asking, why are women turning to Islam?
Now, not just only women, I'm talking about even Western women. Because we are working in many mosques in the UK, especially in London, that we have literally significant amount of conversion amongst women more than men. Now I'm talking about Western women. We're talking about European women, white European women who accept Islam. I'm talking about significant. Even today, a sister took Shahada, who is a European woman. Now, what I'm saying, if Islam oppresses women, why those educated women? I'm saying Islam doesn't at all.
That's the conclusion.
That's the conclusion, because there is studies. I'm talking about people who are. One second.
My question was, does Iran oppress women?
I'm not here to represent Iran. I am not here to defend.
Question.
Listen,
it's a simple question.
I disagree with Iran.
But is Iran a Muslim
Listen.
Is Iran a Muslim state?
Listen. I don't believe.
Okay, let me put it to you.
Iran is a Muslim state.
Wait.
I don't believe Iran is a Muslim state.
Thank you very much. That's all I wanted to get to. That's all I wanted to get to.
This is not here, not because of the women right. It's not because of the women right. It's because of the ideology in Iran. That's my point. So for me, that's something. But we're not talking about Iran. We're talking about Islam as a whole, as a great thing, as a great religion. Which many people accept Islam.
Exist in Iran?
Iran. Okay, look, let me answer it in another way. Look, Iran is a state. They do not even understand the basic of Islam, that you do not call upon other than God. Everywhere you go in Iran, it says, Ya Ali or Ya Muhammad or whatever. So no, let me answer your question. If Iran doesn't understand the basic concept of monotheism, you cannot expect it to follow any other ethical system. We're here to talk about women in Islam, not Iran. Carry on.
So going back now here. Listen. I know you want to drive the discussion to a certain corner. We're talking about Islam. I know. Listen. If you have, no problem. If you have, I am not here. I'm not Iranian. I'm not Iranian. None of us are Iranian here. We are not here to represent Iran, and I don't care about.
I was going to look at whether Islam is present in the world, and I was going to ask if that area is a present meaning. Because we're talking about Islam.
Let's talk about Islam exists in the West.
Some areas, isn't it?
Let's talk about Islam in the West. Yeah, let's talk about it. Because we are here, all of us, we live in London, we are in the West. Does Islam exist here? Yes. Now, we're talking about significant number of women who convert to Islam, very highly educated, people who are very highly educated, psychiatrists, doctors, engineers, professors, who accept Islam with education. Those, why they do it?
Because atheism doesn't make any sense.
I'll tell you what, the media in the past, they tried to be manipulative against Islam, to do what? To turn people against Islam. And because of this, those women, after reading about Islam, and they discovered actually what the media is saying is totally inaccurate. It's totally against the teachings of Islam, and made them actually to accept Islam. So those media, the social media and the media in general, what they have done, they try to be an instrument to destroy the da'wah to Islam. And actually they became actually an instrument to bring people to Islam, because it makes the people to ponder about Islam. And I will tell you examples. For example, in September 11th, after what happened in the United States, it's actually the following year. It is the most year, the significant number of people accepting Islam. Can you imagine? In a time where people, all targets against Muslims, in the same year, in United States alone, many people accept Islam during that year. Why is that? Because they found all of these things, all these atrocities is not done by true Muslims. That's a key thing. So that's why we are saying to the people, Islam is represented by Islam itself, not by the people, not by countries, not by individuals. Islam is to represent itself by itself through the Quran and through the teachings of the Prophet, peace be upon him. That is a key thing. So that's why when you come to discuss with us about Islam, talk to us about the Quran, talk to us about the Sunnah, the prophetic teachings, peace be upon him. That is a key thing.
I got a question.
Okay, good.
Takbir!
Allahu Akbar. Now, you had enough questions. Shall we take questions from others? Any question from everyone here?
About Islam. I mean, the first question we would ask you is,
Hang on. You've got to let the audience ask.
if you are not a Muslim, we would like to know why you are not a Muslim.
No, I want to put it on you.
Are you a Muslim?
No, don't
Why are you
ask-
not a Muslim?
Why are you asking me a question?
It's important to know.
By the way, before
That's a tricky
let's give the other people the chance. Anyone want to ask about Islam? We are here to answer.
He said,
We are here to answer about Islam.
Okay, I have a
If
question.
you have any question before we can win, and then if there is anyone else, then we'll come back to you.
Okay.
Anyone who have a question about Islam, come forward. We are here. We are happy, and that's the key thing. This is the beauty of Islam. It's an open book. For you, there is no hidden things. There is no hidden information. Any question? Now going back to you.
Okay, thank you very much. I recently listened to the audiobook of the Quran, and I skipped around a bit, and I went into like one of the 4th chapters or something, and it was going along, it was talking about women, and then it said, if there's a dispute in a household, first of all you sort of say, hey, don't do that, and then the second time you say, hey, really don't do that, and the third time you say, you bloody well better not do that, and the 4th time how does it end?
You've read it yourself. You've
No,
heard it
that's my
yourself.
question. My question is, how does it end?
So how did you hear
One
it?
second. What you said is totally false.
So there's no, I didn't paraphrase
No,
that correctly at all.
there is nothing like this.
Nothing like that. Okay, false
Nothing like
alarm.
that.
Sorry, guys.
Next question.
You're welcome. Don't make this mistake again.
Okay.
Next question.
Oh, really got to go and study that Quran again.
Yes, good.
Leave the source of Sam Harris and
Anyone else have a question?
some neutral laptops.
Okay.
One of the things that atheists do is they bring out ethical issues and they say this is immoral, that is immoral. But the problem is the most immoral people in the last 100 years, as I pointed out earlier, were the atheists. 100 million people would be alive today if it was not for state
Actually, the
atheism.
offspring, not just 100 million.
In Central Asia, you had the destruction of Buddhist temples, of synagogues, of mosques, of churches. You had the destruction of entire civilizations by the Marxists, by the atheists, by the communists. So it's quite rich It's quite rich. Marxism and atheism are tied at the hip. It's tied at the hip. It's tied at the hip. It's tied at the hip.
Marxism and
We
communism and
understand that.
economic
The
theory.
speaker,
Okay.
the speaker understands that.
Here we have somebody who's claiming there's no link between Marxism and atheism.
They're not the same.
Yet, didn't the Marxist states apply state atheism?
It doesn't make atheism.
Ah, there we go. There we go. There we go. What I asked is this.
What is the common thing?
It just happens to be a coincidence. It just happens to be a coincidence that the Marxist states applied state atheism. They killed religious people, destroyed
Even though it is in
state
China.
atheism.
Even though it is in China.
And
That sounds something.
when we had the French Revolution, again, the atheists used violent state atheism. So state atheism was a weapon of the Marxists.
Atheism, and how do you use it?
How do I define atheism? Atheism is a lack of belief in God.
Pick selectively words that I said. You have to quote.
Firstly, you fell into a trap.
Oh, silly me.
I asked you, why is it that the Marxist states were following state atheism and you didn't have an answer?
That you can follow.
Okay,
Tell it. What is state
state atheism is the application of materialism being taught at academic institutes, being taught to students in a way that forces them to give up their beliefs. For example, just down the road, outside Parliament, there was a jury that came together, and they came together to discuss the state atheism, the cultural genocide by the communist atheist regime of China against the Uyghurs. And they concluded there was a cultural genocide. And state atheism was being applied. And people that were there, that were witnesses. I interviewed myself, a woman called Zumrat Dawood. And that interview you can find online. You can find her being interviewed by many different media outlets. She was being tortured because she said the word Allah. She was being tortured by atheists. So atheists want to come here. They want to talk about women's rights. They want to talk about the rights of frogs. Yet when they have power, they absolutely destroy humanity. And one last thing I want to add. 100 million people died in the last 100 years because of atheism, and you don't have an answer for
Not
that.
just that, not just that. Even Muslims who are in China, they are forced to eat their faith. They are forced to eat during the month of Ramadan.
Yes.
They are forced to eat pork. They are forced to drink alcohol. Stalin and his people.
forced people to drink
Yes,
alcohol.
to drink alcohol. He endorsed this. And not just that, Muslims, they were not allowed to practice. And as well, people during his time, that they used to be hiding under the ground just to pray. And I know we have many people. We have in Jordan, Cherkessian and Chechnese who literally run away from him, and they settled in the Middle East because of the torturing, because they want to continue to practice Islam. And we have live witnesses who run away from Russia due to this, due to atheism. It wasn't about communism. It wasn't about communism, because Hitler was a communist. Hitler was a communist, by the way. So the common thing, he wasn't an atheist, though, was he? Yeah, he wasn't atheist. He was communist.
He was a Darwinist, though.
He was Darwinist.
He was a Darwinist.
He was a Darwinist like you. So that's a key thing.
What we have, okay, Darwinism is not a religion. Darwinism is not a religion. Yet, I want to ask the gentleman here, why can he walk into Waterstones and pick up a book by Oxford University Press by Michael Roos called Darwinism as Religion? So why is it? So why is it the case that academics like Mary Midgley, they call evolution a religion? Michael Roos calls it Darwinism as religion. What we find is everything we're saying about what state atheism did to the religious communities is corroborated by academics. For example, there's a book called The Plot to Kill God by Paul Froese. And what he does in this book, this historian, he documents the Soviet experiment of secularization in Central Asia, in Eastern Europe, and that secularization policy entailed the teaching forcibly of children that there is no God. And that's exactly what the communists did. That's exactly what Stalin did. That's exactly what Chairman Mao did. That's exactly what happened during the Cultural Revolution. That is exactly, he's too weak. He doesn't have the authority.
If you have the authority, you will do that. If you have the authority, if you have the authority, you will do it. You will force children to not believe in God. And anyone who believes in God, you gotta target them. That's exactly, this is atheism. That's how it is. Because for you, those are numbers. Those are numbers. Those are molecules walking on earth. Molecules. You sure you could get from
what we need to realize, if this universe has no purpose, has no design, there is no good, there is no evil, there is nothing but blind, pitiless indifference, and you know that. You know that. Morality according to Darwinists, morality is an illusion created by our genes to help us survive. The reason why I'm talking about Darwin is because Darwin is the person that atheists look to when it comes to evolutionary theory. And what do we find today? And what do we... Okay, what's evolutionary theory got to do with atheism? Okay. The gentleman asked, he asked the question, what does evolution have to do with atheism? Let's answer his question. He asked, what does evolution have to do with atheism? I will give one answer. I'll give one answer.
What's gravity got to do with atheism?
The best-selling atheist book in human history was The God Delusion. And the central argument of the God Delusion was based on the fact that Darwinism shows that design is an illusion. Therefore, God almost certainly doesn't exist. This is known as the central argument. The central argument on page 156 to 157. I did actually. 156 to 157, you find the central argument. It's called the central argument for a reason. And it says that God almost certainly doesn't exist based upon evolution. So what we find, atheists want to run away from the bloody history of the 20th century. They want to run away from the poor intellectual history of using evolution to undermine God. They don't want to own up what we want to do. I do not run away from the Quran. I do not run away from the Prophet, peace be upon him. I do not run away from the teachings of Islam. What we find amongst atheists is they continuously run away from their own belief systems. Now going back to what we were talking about earlier, Mansur, you started this by talking about design. The fact that design exists in the universe and this is a sign of God.
So I want to really bring people back to this central point. The reason why you are still not a Muslim, not a believer in God, is not because of lack of evidence for the existence of God.
There's stupidity.
It's not because there is no evidence for you to see and observe and understand and appreciate. It's your blind ego. You see within yourself and within the horizons. Evidence everywhere. For example, I want to highlight this point. I want to highlight this point. When the Quran says, "Afillahi shakkun fatir as-samawati wal-ard," why did Allah, your Creator, make this point? Why? Why is he saying there can be no doubt? How can there be a doubt?
Have a monopoly of it
Why
in
so?
any way, shape or form.
Now
Many
here
religions.
Allah Azza wa Jal has said in this ayah,
Many
فاطر
created
السماوات
stories.
والأرض. Allah is bringing the evidence directly. Is there doubt about God? He is the creator of the heavens and the earth.
A God,
So Allah,
not
and what is
necessarily your
contained.
God.
And Fatir,
Many to
not
choose
just
from.
only creator, and actually as
not an
well
argument
bringing
for
the
Islam.
natural
It's an
disposition of
argument for
everything
religion.
within this universe that He has created, which means there is a unique design. There is an intelligent design that Allah Azza wa Jal
Not a
has
very good
created,
design, though,
which
is it?
makes everything
Not a very good
survives
design.
and makes everything
Backache,
has its
varicose
own place
veins,
in this
Eyeballs
earth
that
and
are
in this universe.
misshapen, so we
Yeah.
need to put pieces of glass in front of our
when
eyes.
the evidence
Such
is
an
in front
imperfect
of
design.
you, when the
Why is it
evidence is in
cocked
front
up?
of you, this gentleman asked,
Why am I short-sighted, man?
This
Why am I
gentleman-
short-sighted?
this gentleman asked, what about other gods? Can there be more than one God?
But the one God might be different to your one God.
Can there be more than one God?
I don't believe there can be any gods, but if you
Okay,
want to
so
play
let's
the
go back to
story-
the
So he is an atheist.
So let's go
The
back
whole-
to the question.
I'm an atheist.
the whole-
Be a communist.
So let's return to the question. Why do you deny and reject the evidence in front of you? I want you to tell me.
It's not in front of you.
I want you to tell me.
Not in front
Why
of
do
you.
the
You
cells-
talk about creator design.
You're
Why
not-
are we so imperfect?
you are not
Why are we so
engaging with the
imperfect? Why is
evidence.
his design so broken?
Why are you not engaging with the evidence? Here is
Because
my
it's not
presentation
there.
of the evidence.
The evidence is
The
not
evidence.
there.
Brothers and sisters, I'm going to ask one simple question to the man who says,
Simple question. I want to
he says the human body is imperfectly designed. But I want to ask him a simple question and see if he has an answer. If we are the result of a blind naturalistic process, how is it that we have 3 billion letters in every single one of our cells that functions to keep us alive? He doesn't have an answer to that.
But not perfectly.
Aha!
Aha!
He said not perfectly.
Ahi!
Not perfectly.
Ahoo!
Now, my question is, and he will not have an answer,
Well, don't be
what does a perfect body look like?
one that doesn't suffer from pain, disease, just from our natural form.
Okay, wait, 1 second, 1 second, 1 second,
So
1
you
second,
wait for the
1
answer,
second,
wait
wait,
for the
one
answer,
second,
wait for the
go on.
answer. Something that doesn't get lower back pain simply because it's bipodal, because it's on 2 feet. Something that doesn't get varicose veins simply because it stands up on 2 feet. Something that doesn't have misshapen eyeballs that it can't see without science to correct its sight. Something that doesn't have that has offspring that's born with cancer quite often. You can't listen, can you?
Okay,
So things that can
what
breathe and reproduce
the
without
gentleman is
offspring
pointing
being
out,
born
what
with
the
incredibly
gentleman is
painful
pointing out is essentially this.
Is this
What
the
is,
default?
1 second, what is he pointing out? He's pointing out we have what he calls imperfection. But imperfection is built upon an assumption of specification. For example, God says in the Quran, whoever he wills, he gives males. Whoever he wills, he gives females. Whoever he wills, he makes barren.
Whoever he wills, he gives
Barrenness is part of the design of God, because this life we have tests. We have tests, and the tests in this life we get sick and we get cured. So what's happened is this gentleman, he cannot deny design. He cannot deny design. All he can do is deny his specification. For someone to call something bad design, there has to be a design specification. I want to give one example. This gentleman
I'll give you lots of
is
examples.
somebody I believe I interacted with him in the past. I believe he studied biology when he did biology. So I want to ask him a question. The question is this.
You haven't answered any of my
Francis
points about
Crick.
childhood cancer.
Francis Crick is someone who discovered the structure of DNA. Along with Watson, yes he did. He won the Nobel Prize.
Why did you forget
He
Watson?
won the Nobel Prize for that. And when it came to him explaining the origin of life. He wrote a book called Life Itself, and in that book he said there is a possibility that the life on earth has been designed by extraterrestrial beings. So what? Did you hear that? So what? And so I'm about to educate you. 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 Francis Crick did not believe in God, and you know that. Francis Crick wasn't an atheist. No, he did not believe in God. So when we have a smart scientist who is inferring design, but the design that he's inferring is the design to aliens, then when you have somebody who comes to Speaker's Corner and cannot articulate the most basic inference, what we have to realize is someone like Francis Crick was pointing out something that biologists see all the time. In fact, the most famous Darwinist in the world, Richard Dawkins himself, says that the design as a research tool is so good that it's used by biologists. The illusion of design is so strong that it's used. So you cannot deny there is design. What you can do is deny an inference. You can say this design is illusory, or this design is due to aliens, or this design is due to God. What you cannot deny is design is a research heuristic in biology.
I wanted to mention something.
Yes.
Because he said something, and actually we need to point out about it. Because that's he said something. He said, why does he have a short eyesight? Yeah? It's not about what your eyes, it's your heart.
I'm sorry, my heart.
Let's continue. I know what I'm talking about. But
although high blood pressure.
Okay. By the way, so he said this. Why some babies born with, for example, leukemia? Why some babies they're born disabled with cancer? All of these things. The question is this the default thing for a human being?
It's a very
that they are always deficient, or the default thing what they are?
So
that's something.
Default.
And here,
is God responsible
and here,
for it or not?
By the way,
if it's not a default, who's responsible?
By the way, I am addressing.
God is responsible in all cases.
I am addressing your point. I'm addressing it. Now here,
Bad design is based on specification. You didn't give a specification.
So why does the bad design go wrong?
Okay.
Sorry,
No.
Well, don't stop interrupting him.
It's an assumption.
Listen, let me try to respect you something.
Okay. Thank you.
So here, when you are saying it is not the default, first of all, that's one thing. The other thing, you said here you have a short eyesight, yes?
Yeah, well,
as well. But who made the glasses? People, correct?
Scientists.
Do they have intellect to design it?
So you want to compare?
There we go.
You see here?
No. There we go.
That is my
The person who wants to deny design. Bad design is based on an assumption, and the assumption is that we were created to be beings that live forever, beings that don't get cancer. Wait, one second. All human beings die. All human beings die. Someone can say, why do they die? It's part of God's design that we don't live forever. What you consider to be bad design is an assumption of the specification that you have in mind. No, bad design, no. Whatever you point out, design is based upon a specification. I will give an example. If you walk past a building and that building is crumbling, someone may say it's bad design. But if that building was designed for 30 years and it stands at 50 years, it is not bad design. Human beings were designed to get sick. They were designed to be healthy. They were designed to live. They were designed to die. They were designed to be fertile. They were designed to be barren. What you consider, because that's part of the test of life. Because that is the test of life. Because that's the part of the test of life.
Part of it.
God says in the Quran, He teaches us that good and evil is part of the test of life. However, the common denominator, whether you say good design or bad design, is still design. You cannot get away from the design inference, which is why even atheists point out there has to be an explanation of design, and design is still used as a research heuristic.
And as well the design of our intellect, which is able to produce and to do things to support people who are less able. That's a design within our nature that made many people to be scientists, to invent things, to create cure for certain diseases. That shows God, this is part of this life. God designed us in order to produce this, to do this. This part of the design. And if it wasn't a design within our intellect, we'll be unable to do it. And just like other animals, by the way, just like other animals, the one who's born less able is being left to die. But we are designed as a human being. We are designed as a human being to produce and to do things in order to support. It's part of our design. It's part of our design. It's part of our nature.
Design function.
So I want to
really dumb thing.
I want to address one of his points just to illustrate to the audience.
They're loving it.
No, I really enjoy it.
I want to address one example this gentleman brought just to show you how there are people who don't use
Long time no see. How are you doing? You looking good?
Neither do they understand science, neither do they understand
good guy.
philosophy, or anything.
No, we get along. Sorry.
The example of pain. The gentleman brought pain as if it is some kind of flaw in design.
Oh, I love pain, don't you? Who loves pain
What
here?
this
Put up your
gentleman-
hand if you love pain.
What this gentleman doesn't realize is this. Pain is an effective mechanism built in for a good
have a chat
intent,
after this.
purpose, and benefits within the creation. And let me give you examples
seen
to
someone in
illustrate
immense pain?
the point.
You
Illustrate
just
examples.
bang your thumb with a hammer.
Let me-
Have you really seen someone in pain?
If you are to listen, you will learn. If you don't listen, you will never learn.
Are you going to listen?
So,
I have something to say.
so where?
So let's talk about the pain of cancer.
So the pain-
Someone
Finish.
dying for years in immense
Imagine,
pain. Not talking about banging your
imagine.
thumb with a hammer.
You had no pain receptors in your body.
No, it wouldn't be good.
Imagine you had no pain receptors in your
I
body.
understand why we have cancer now and people die. It's excruciating.
So this gentleman agrees having pain receptors
It's advantageous
to feel pain is advantageous.
to our survival.
Unlike these atheists.
Unlike this
He's
atheist,
an atheist too.
why did you go over there
Is
and
he a
debate
communist
this
as
yourself?
well?
Tell us.
No, this is more fun.
Thank you.
We're piling them up so we can burn them.
And then debate between yourself.
Joe,
So this is what it is.
Joe.
Pain is a blessing. Because if there wasn't the pain, imagine now you put your hand in fire and your hand got burnt and all of it's totally destroyed.
Value of the pain of
Let me
back
finish.
pain.
Let me
Just
finish.
constant back pain.
You see
What
that?
about the pain of
Instead
cancer?
of listening, this is what you do. You
Dying,
interrupt and suggest.
excruciating pain.
So imagine now, your hand totally got burnt and you put it
Oh,
down,
yes.
your hand's gone. Because you never felt pain. The fact that you have pain, you will remove your hand as a reflex to this pain stimuli. Why? Because you know something is going to be harmful.
So why when
Something
you
is
chop
going
off a
to be
limb, do people
detrimental.
still imagine they've
That
got
is
pain in
why
their hand?
the pain response here is saving you from a harm. It is a good thing, an advantage. You're not even listening. It's a good thing. An
You are
advantageous
repeating yourself,
thing.
Mansur. You
So
have to say
this
about
is,
all the time.
according to people of science, unlike people of speakers corner hecklers,
Oh, I'm not a
there's a
Marxist
huge
communist
disparity
atheist now. I'm a
in
speaker
understanding
corner
whether pain is a part of a good design or a bad design. Of course, the heckling community in speakers corner, like this gentleman
seen
here,
him anywhere else.
will consider as bad design. But the scientists, physiologists, they will know and tell you it's part of a good design.
Bring on that.
Debunked
Bring
and
on that.
refuted.
Oh, well done. Well done, Mansur. Would you like a coffee?
We want to end here. We want to end here
Oh no!
Thank you all for
Why are you
listening.
ending? Bit of
If you
rain.
have any other
Bit of
questions
rain,
apart
and
from
they
these two gentlemen, anyone else have any questions? We will take those questions and then we
May I
will.
ask you a question? The gentleman was talking, referring to people have various gods. Why the God, if he's honest in Islam, is the God worth of being worshipped, and we don't worship other God other than Allah? Maybe the Shaykh or any of you.
Now here, Allah Azza wa Jal said in the Quran, firstly, Allah sent prophets and messengers.
I think you know.
First of
Playing a
all,
game, isn't it?
yeah, first of all, Allah has sent the prophets and messengers one after another, all of them calling for one God, to worship one God and not associate with God anymore. Those are all of them. Now the people later on, those are the ones who changed the monotheistic faith of the human being. That Allah says in the Quran, كَانَ النَّاسُ أُمَّةً وَاحِدَةً. The people used to be one nation, meaning they used to be monotheists. And Allah has sent the prophets and messengers to them to affirm that faith in them. And later on, when they've been deceived by the devil and they went astray from the guidance of Allah, then they start worshipping other gods. And they start worshipping other gods. And that's why Islam, Allah, which means all the religion of all the prophets and messengers is Islam. Allah stated in the Quran,
What about the Norse gods?
Islam. The religion of Allah Azza wa Jal is Islam. So Allah sent the prophets and messengers to restore this monotheist faith in the hearts of the people again and again. And as soon as when the people go astray, then they start worshipping other deities. Not just that, even nowadays, people who call themselves atheists, they are worshipping their own desires. They are worshipping, which is they think it is an ideology. It is a faith that they believe it's not a faith. It's a faith. That's how it is.
Can you please explain what is worship and why all worship is this only for Allah alone?
Okay, the meaning of worship, as one of the scholars said, everything that Allah loves and pleased with, from the actions or from the saying, internal ones and external ones. That means that the things that we do, everything in our life, it has to be an act of worship. Us being good, even following the morality of Islam.
Even this
it
is worship.
It is part of the worship of Allah. Even today, I'm talking
Worship
to you.
the reality.
Is worship Allah.
Yeah.
Tabarak wa ta'ala. We worship Allah,
Thank
not the
goodness
reality.
for Sunday.
Worship Allah. Tabarak wa
Almost
ta'ala.
like a
We are
drug,
to
isn't it?
preach
Yeah.
Islam.
Almost like a
We
drug.
are here to preach Islam, and that's part of it. And the meaning of worship is a broad meaning.
Yeah, I do that.
It's not
Yeah.
restricted to the direct act of worship like the salah and other things. It is something broad meaning. Jazakallah khair for the question.
I don't want to suddenly dive into
Do we have any other questions?
We're gonna
from
end
the
here. We're gonna
audience?
end here
Got any
now.
more? Or you done?
Tony, do you have any questions?
I do want to discuss that actually. That's good.
I just want to put on the record that
Which record?
the National Academy of Science has stated, and I've got the printout of its report here, its personal opinion, rightly or wrongly, I'm not saying they're right, but as a point of fact, their opinion is that they consider evolution to effectively be a fact, okay? Now they may be wrong, but hopefully we can agree that if I'm providing factual evidence, that is their position, and their credentials are that they are,
I know who they are.
okay, you know, just so your viewers know who they are, they've got 2,493 members, last check, including 190 Nobel Prize winners. Yeah, they're hired by the American government, who you might not like, fine, on a budget of $500 million a year to give objective advice to the American government. Yeah, so these are some of the elite scientists who my friends here will quite often quote when it comes to talking about the Big Bang and theories in physics, which they're happy to embrace. And their,
One second, let me finish.
their considered opinion is that evolution is very highly likely. Now, they may be wrong. I put it to you, my most hopeful view on this is that evolution, that God designed us through evolution, and that there's no necessary conflict between the facts of this and your view of religion. I'm hopeful of that.
Would you say it's very clear from what they're saying here that they are not speaking about Darwinian evolution, but evolution apart from Darwin, as in a broader concept of evolution?
Well, they say, to quote from them,
They say evolution is a fact.
is evolution a fact? The theory of evolution explains. I don't think we're going to get to read the whole thing now, but I will if you want.
No, okay, but I know. Sorry, one second.
Let's get to the subject.
Yeah,
Just
but I
one
don't want to
question,
read the
let's
whole
get
thing.
out.
Yeah.
Just one question. Who funded these researchers?
Oh, they're funded by the
What
American government.
objective? As we clearly know, the one who sponsors a particular area of research has an agenda.
For sure.
So we need to make sure that they are neutral. But you can carry on.
Okay, but
I tried to make it clear they're hired by the American government to advise the American government on a number of different issues. Yeah.
But it's good to address this.
but look, I think it's worth you reading at least the first 2-3 lines.
I have read it.
Okay, no.
I haven't read it for about 6 months or so.
Okay, but I actually don't disagree with this.
Okay, this is progress.
Okay,
You
so
don't disagree with
what I want to make clear, and I think this is very important, even